So Nina, come join us. Thank you.
So I've been asked to first speak about my life story so that you understand how I developed into a new group of world servers, part of the group. And I want to say first and foremost that I am so honored, so deeply honored to represent that concept, to be brought here, to realize and to remember what inspired me, what moves me, and how we are to work together. So I'm very grateful, and I think Domen would say very similarly that we are part of this very much, and it's our home. Yeah, and our origin. And so I'll tell you a little story. About 50 years ago, I was reading a newspaper, and I saw something about the blue books. It was no big deal, a little box, and I wrote away, because I had nothing else to do. I think I was in college, And before you know it, I got it. I devoured every book. It was like it was a remembering. And then it was a calling. And I was already in education. I was director of 10 schools. And I also ran a camp. But slowly, that camp began to change as I changed. And so it became an international center for young people from all around the world. And we focused on issues, and I believed the young people could and would and be the future leaders, and that they needed skills for that. And so I helped them through that. And the big difference between my work, I would say, and most educational work is we learn tolerance, which is compromise. We learn how to deal with conflict. And I looked at what are our samenesses. How are we alike? How do we come together as one? I was always focused on oneness, and what does that mean? And I even saw in a video the other day that said, if you took the 7 billion people on the planet and put them all together in terms of their consciousness, it would be the size of a sugar cube. That's amazing to me, yeah? So anyway, part of my story is that I started to bring young people around the world, and then I had a dream one night. I've been reading different books, of course, like all of us, and the dream was Robert Mueller. And I don't know if you know who he was. He was Undersecretary General for Youth at the UN. And he circled around me, and then he pointed to me, and he said, "You're ready now for the real work." And I was like, oh, God, what does that mean? And I don't dream often. But the next day, I got a call from someone at the UN that said they wanted me to come down to represent our organization and to start to do some work. So I thought, okay. And when I got there, I met Nancy Roof, and I met all these people. It was like I found my family. That was amazing to me. I'd been alone studying those books and not knowing where I was going or what it was for, and then all of a sudden I was at the UN, and I walked around the halls, and I remember feeling like, this is where I belong, this is home, all these different nations. And before you know it, I started getting invited everywhere. I ended up going to 100 countries at least. I stopped counting them. And not just presenting, but working with young people, inspiring them, empowering them, and helping them understand how we are interconnected and what needs to be done, and listening to them. And what did they say? They wanted synthesis and sociocracy, and they wanted new governance. They really saw the picture of the world. So that led me to a conference in the 80s where I met Robert Mueller again, and I told him the story, of course, and he was amazed. In real life, here you are. And then I came back and I started working with Meyerhof, so, and I feel like it's been a pull-push. She stands out and I follow her. I go this way, she comes that way. We've been together doing this work for a long time. And we developed a curriculum. And the curriculum was based on universal responsibility and all that it takes, our ethics, our universal ethics. And how do we go from a cell to the big universe, So it was a very interesting learning for me and for us. And we did this work all over the place. And I would say that then when I started taking young people all around the world with me, like I took 50 young people to Thailand or to Ghana from all different cultures, and I did mix match so that they would begin to understand we're just human beings walking planet Earth, and we need to work together to make this a better place. That's really our obligation, nothing else. Why be born, why live, if not willing to do something meaningful? So that was part of my life story. Oh, yeah. Important was I was still director of the school system, and I ran the camp, and I was globe-trotting. And so you can imagine, you start to feel like you're going in different directions. And I think other people have had that experience of, do you do this or do you do that? Are you practical and go for money, or are you dreamer and an idealist and just do what you believe? And those are the V's in the world, where you really have to make the choice for your life, of your life, and with your life. And it was like I jumped ship. I said, I trust, I have faith, and my life became a miracle. I started to just receive and go and do whatever I was called to do, and I've done that now 30 years or so. And I can't say it's easy, but I do say it all happens, and it's a good life. It really is, and it's had a lot of meaning. So then again, Dot was with me, and we were sitting in the living room and talking about how we go around the world talking about peace. What is peace, and how do you concretize the meaning of peace? That became very important to us. And so before you know it, I got the opportunity to find out, I wanted to find a way to concretize peace, to make it visible to humanity so that they could see a lighted building and they could make a choice. Do I walk in darkness or do I walk towards the light? And I ended up at Auschwitz as a point of origin, and found family names, etc. Had a shattering experience, and understood that everything that I'd done in my life had led me to this point. And that story begins, and we'll show you about it in a little while. Yeah, I also wanted to tell you, Domen and I, how we met. This is the next kind of story that led to this experience. We met on an airplane on the way to the Parliament of World Religions, and we really didn't appreciate each other because there was some moving around of packages and pushing and shoving. It's not worth telling the whole story. But then we found out that we had the same lineage, and that this was our home. And, it opened up our hearts, and we started to daydream together. And so you're going to hear from Domen in a minute. But I want to tell you something also interesting, is we're both Taurus with Scorpio rising, both of us. Like we were like twins in a way, big age difference, but we're like twins. And since I met him, which was about 5 years ago, there hasn't been a day that we haven't talked and worked together. So it's a meant to be. So my life has been a meant to be once I let go of defining it and presenting myself in a certain way, but rather I committed to follow my footsteps. They showed me where I should go, that life is just a journey, and I'm on the journey. And it's been a very interesting journey. So thank you very much. I think I had a little quote. I take this as an incredible honor to be asked to stand in the place of representing this concept and allowing myself to be a vehicle for this new emerging paradigm. And I thank the holy ones for this opportunity to serve with soul-infused personality, the one life and eternity. So blessed be. Thank you. Excuse me?
We're doing the videos now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I say we're going to hear from Domen?
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'll hold it. Okay. There he is.
Has it started? Oh, there it is. Okay.
We don't hear you, Domen.
Maybe forgot to put the sound on. Can you see?
We are all doing there, all the people connected in the new group. Hi there all, I'm Domen Kocevar from Slovenia, momentarily in Slovenia, and I'm happy that I can share a few words on the team today with you. I'm sorry I cannot be there in person, but when I was thinking, it's no way that not to be part of it, of what you are doing there, what we are all doing there, all the people connected in the new group of world servers, beginning of this festival from all different sides. So inevitable, we are all there, as we are all here and so on. And we all know that that will become so much more clearer and so fast that really space and time and being connected from different sides to this one work is so clear, and that will even serve so much more in greater collaboration, because it will be, it's so less and less seen that this is mine, this is yours, and I'm looking forward to all of that. So yes, so a bit of story in beginning. So 21 years ago, after 2 years of crisis, I really had a strong realization that we are all connected, that there is only one life, there is only one humanity, of course, with all other inhabitants of this planet and the beings together. And that was inside out, outside. And so without philosophy, I knew how it is. And the most important part was that there is no way out of serving that one humanity. That was how I saw it. Even though that it was pressuring with me, it would be so easy and nice to believe and think that there would be a possibility to be somewhere separated, live your own life happily and so on, and without thinking of the rest of the world. But suddenly that disappeared, and so it was. The next one was finding your path, finding my path of how will I be the best of serving to humanity. And I was blessed for sure that I found so fast in the beginning of my path my elder brother, my first teacher, who is still my partner, my teacher in Slovenia, and this is still here. Ed.D. was a pioneer with his young Theosophists and friends in 70s and then 80s, and was treading the path that then later and meeting and visiting places that then I later did. So thank you to him, because he helped me not to lose much time in the weeds. And I was asking about the blue books, the red books, the green books, and I don't know what color of the books, but all those traditions. And soon with my spiritual family, because of course my elder brother was not alone, it came the quality, most importantly, in this is the synthesis. And for sure, that is a quality that is very near to me and very near to my spiritual family. It is to bring different paths, different sides of it, and seeing that there are different sides of the one. And the future for sure will be how to combine many different ways together. And started my first books, of course, At the Feet of the Master, The Voice of the Silence of HPB, The Idol of White Lotus. And then I came across the Initiation in Human and Solar and the Raise Annunciation, of course, from Blue Books. And all other books. And I started very soon collecting books. I don't know how it happened, but I knew that somehow the library will come out, and it is the present library of Alma, Karlin, Theosophical Library. It was opened in 2009 with now at the moment 12,000 books, and many came from all those different homes around the world. And maybe around 2000 I visited the first time the Lucis Trust offices in London and meeting Christine. And it was coming home. And that's a good feeling when you come home. And then I went to the Theosophical Society in London, and it was coming home again. And I met all around the world. I went to so many different homes. The feeling of same home for me, for my soul, for my heart. And the Rerik, and is it in India and here? And of course then also adding the Oriental part, the Kriya, that part into the equation. And it was home again. And knowing that home was a beautiful feeling of mine. And this feeling of home slowly spread also to other human beings of goodwill. And I remember speaking with Tilly and said, how you do recognize is this your family, someone, but we're all a family, but still the traditional whys behind, but mostly the people of goodwill, that it is there present and that you know that they mean good. That's all, will to do good. And of course then expanded to all the religious sites. Is this the Hindu temple? Is the Christian temples? Is this the church, mosques? And found out that the next one was really that the feeling was of sacredness, knowing the sacred, seeing the sacred, and finding. And once you get the feeling of goodwill, you recognize it. Once you know the home, if I say that, you recognize it. Once you find that those qualities, get in touch with this, with the sacred, you cannot miss it. And since then, wherever I go in those places, I can connect to the sacred, because there's not too sacred. And of course, then the love of humanity, the love of life, and no doubt with with more or less hindrances above it. And that was my upbringing, to the deep need, seeing that we do need to step up as humanity. And seeing all those connecting, and it was such a blessing, seeing so many different cities. And it was a blessing that I didn't know that many of those didn't like each other. That was a blessing, because maybe otherwise then I would start thinking the same. And that was the funny part, the realization. How is it possible that those that stand for the highest can be in conflict with those that stand for the highest too? I know many things changed in last years, and for some that was never a question, and for some it was. But it is all normal because it is so human to be like that. But the need, how to support the next step for humanity, because if all of us in the world that do believe in the goodness of humanity would really act totally accordingly to this, we would be much further as humanity. And now how to step up to that we would really 100% act accordingly to what we say that we do believe. And so many good organizations, activities, movements of the world, religious, secular, humanist, political, so many good people, good intentions, action. I can't believe it. In last 5 years of journeying around, I could start crying when thinking how much good is happening in the world. And I felt so strong, that was 5-6 years ago, that there is a chance for humanity to step up. And I didn't know at that time for the date 2025. I don't know how I missed it. Maybe I knew it, but it wasn't consciousness. And when I heard about it consciously, it made so much sense that it is time and that we are ready. I was saying next 5-10 years, humanity can step up. I do feel like many of you that potential to spill over, and especially this year, I can imagine what will be happening in 2020, that the spilling over can occur. And I do believe that it's not going to be a romantic time, because we're going to have to facing a lot of challenges of the decades, if not centuries, of different decisions. But I do believe that we can make it for sure. And in this readiness, I met Nina, who is action itself. Many of you know Nina for decades. I know her 5 years. Yes, now it was 5 years. We were in the 5th year. That knew all activities, the founders of them, chronology of it. So whichever organization I mentioned, she says, I know the founder. And there are a lot of funny stories about it. And she is still standing fully for the new, for the daring, and never stopped believing in youth. And that touched me, because when I met her, she was with youth, and seeing that she knows all of that, all this esoteric, this and that, and all those traditions, but she was always there, just standing to supporting that the young ones will bring out their life out of it. And that touched me very much. And I would say big heart met big action. And we started dreaming about one humanity and how to support it, and maybe do a think tank. And that was a seed. When I look now backwards, I see it. Yes, how to support humanity, that it can stand there, challenge every dogmatic, unneeded belief for the sake of embodying the deeper layers of humanity in this materialization. That was it. How to bring the best together, to think, bring all their best together, but be willing to drop it and sit around the table and drop it and say, okay, it's still happening. We're still hurting each other. How can we do better? And being willing to cut the branch that we are sitting on. And this is a challenge. Because so many good organizations around the world did so much, but it's sitting on the branch. And it's so hard to cut it. And I think that's why we have to mobilize the youth. And it's already happening, because they are not sitting on the branch and they can do the cut. And we can be supportive of them to say, yes, do what is needed, and so on. And that was the seed, meeting, thinking, and needing. And then Nina visited Auschwitz a year before, and then I went in 2016 because of her, meeting with her, thinking of her, and said, I'll go visit it. And without knowing, the seed found the soil to where to be planted. And the last expected, I must say, but in 4 years, the most appropriate. That's why we're working on it for 4 years. And now the One Humanity Institute, it all started with when DARE started with seeing the need that 6,000 people a day visit Auschwitz, go in, see the most horrible expression of humanity ever, and go out, and they almost run away because the tours are organized like that, and it's so normal. And we start thinking how to stop them, at least for us, for some time, do a park that they could sit, and this experience could be changed into some positive, inspired action. Because we need to mobilize the masses to do something in humanity, to take the responsibility. And we saw, but this is a lot of people with such a teachable moment, and they go away. And so that's one part. Nina will say more about it. And to do a platform, a space that will slowly, solemnly focus on problems of humanity and grow the only question, how is it possible that we still are able to hurt each other? How to go beyond that? The starting question. And of course, all of those subdivisions afterwards, but how is it possible to make it so strong that every human being, when coming near to that, can be faced with it, that it's impossible that that would be happening still, that we would be hurting in many different hidden, unhidden ways each other. And how to bring the best together from the world who will be able to drop their knowledge and go for the unknown. And can you imagine having best hearts and minds together 24/7 of different breeds, if I say that, but hacking into deeper layers of humanity? So much is happening in the world, but to be able to place this next to the most horrible expression of humanity, a place where I do, and I can say here esoterically, the evil dived deepest in the fabric of humanity. And to be able to do that twist with all the respect, but turn it around, not fight it, turn it around and make it a place of deepest inspiration to go forward. And this is a global impactor. And it was not planned by us. It really revealed to us by steps. And it's because so many times we check that it's not an ambition, and it's not. And because it needs so much forgiveness and daringness and willingness and clear-mindedness and respect that we would be able to turn that around. And we know that it was not possible before. The wound was too sore, but now it is. We heard some were dreaming about that 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and it was not timely. And the second is to become a safe space where you could come with all your past, share it freely, and go beyond. You can imagine 17 years after the Second World War, and still we are burdened what our grandfathers did, what our fathers did. And it's so naturally. We know about karma and group karma and nation karma, but how to make a place where you could say, give. And you can imagine this particular place, the Jewish, the Polish, the German, the whole humanity in the story of the World War II mixes here up. And all we have some things to face, some actions or unactions or non-actions to face, and how to make a space where you can do that, because then you can go forward. And time is now. We know that. It's no time, it's moving very fast, and time is now. And how to shake it off respectfully, and what to do next. And it's 4 years of research, big time behind, and pieces, a big team behind, and pieces are ready to be pulled together. And I think Nina can take you from this place. Thank you that I was able to share that. Nina can take you on a journey to share her side of it, her journey to it. And I can say it's a gigantic work, but it is able only because so many of you done so much around the world. And it is just one, but it's a big culmination, possible culmination that we can pull together for the sake of humanity. So thank you very much for your attention, and namaste, blessings to you, and wish you good next time.
Bye-bye, Domen.
Until we meet again.
So we're going to show you first. Bye-bye. It was very nice, Domen. We're going to show you a very short video that captures the feel of what we're doing, and then I will speak exactly about the project, what we've done, where we're at, and what it means to do. Okay, you want to show the short film? Thank you.
Imagine that there is an end to terror, suffering, trauma. Imagine there is a place unlike any other that is dedicating its total existence to this cause, as the answer to one of the world's darkest moments in history. Placed close to Auschwitz, the city of hope, or one humanity, focusing on collaboration, equality, responsibility, creativity, and innovation, to spread love and all our mutual caring. A city, a sanctuary, a response, to act towards a world of peace using sustainable, mutual, experiential paths for seeing the change. Imagine, this place already exists. With a team of people just like you that believe in this vision of a world of peace. Let's pursue this world together.
So we're going to show some of the other films in silence, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the project. Okay? When we first started this project, we had no idea what we were doing. We believed we wanted to create a nice bench in a park so people could meditate. And this grew and grew and grew till we discovered a facility that somebody led us to. And this is the facility, and you'll see it. It is the former SS barracks. There are 11 buildings, and we have developed a team of 40 experts who are designing content for the different buildings. We have what's called an Envisionarium, which is a museum of the future that shows what the good of humanity has done and is doing. But most important, it gives each individual an opportunity to have their personal experience after having been in Auschwitz, to assess what are their interests and what are they willing to commit to and what are the positive actions. So everything we're doing is to create solutions for the world and allow people to understand that we are one humanity. 2 million people come there. So it's not the converted, it's the people, it's the masses. And we're going to give them an opportunity to understand that we are doing this together. We plan a learning center, and we have a team of educators, about 40, I don't know how many. Anyway, we're developing workshops, training programs, courses, etc. Plus, we're developing relationships to local universities and other universities around the world, because we want to bring the best of the best, so that the potential is the availability to really learn. Then the third major piece of it is going to be a co-working space where we're going to invite the NGOs to have offices there. So as people go through this environment, they can begin to see what people are doing in the world and what it can mean. Yes, and then people can, it'll be in glass, etc. The whole idea is to take what has been and show what can be. You know, and Auschwitz is only an example, and it was a preserved example, and we're showing how it can come forward. And so we had to meet with the mayor, of course, and that led to the director of the museum, which led us to the national government, which introduced us to the ministers of business, of finance, of innovation, etc., to the prime minister's office. I mean, so we've just been following our footsteps, never been overwhelmed, and we're now in the Prime Minister's office, and we have a list of things that we still have to accomplish for them to take us seriously, because right now what they think is we're a bunch of do-gooders, and it's hard for them to trust that. It's Polish national land. And we're asking for a big understanding of what we're taking forward. But imagine if this happens, which it will, because we are guided and we feel the inspiration and we know that hierarchy is working with us. I mean, it's not about us, it's about, and Domen and myself, we call ourselves stewards. We're not, you know, the owners of this, and we invite all other organizations to join with us. It's to be a place, a marker on this world that, you know, shows solutions to how we can live together. And so we have been to Israel. We've met with survivors. Very interesting with the survivors. They have been able to tell us that they want to release the past. They want to go from hate to hope. And some people have said to me, hope is a very sort of wishy-washy word, like trying. But recently I read what the Dalai Lama wrote about hope, and then I heard Obama talk about hope. Hope is the next step to making something possible. And so let's hope together, yes, and make this real. And that's what we're doing. We've met with the DC Holocaust Museum. We've been to the Museum of Tolerance in California. I mean, one thing has led us to the next, and funding has been like here, there, and nowhere, and yet it's all been, you know, so helpful. That's what I can say. But, you know, we're ready to go to the next stage and phase of this project and really make it a visible, credible phenomenon that the world can see. It will be one of the most mammoth projects that I've ever been involved in or I've ever seen. It's to be the United Nations of peoples. Yes, the peoples of the world, not the countries of the world. And the people will come and they will change the world from bottom up. And that's what we want. One more important thing, that as a result of Auschwitz and the Second World War, the United Nations was formed. Yes? So you have to understand we're going back to the essence. We're planting the seed, as Domen said, and we're watching it become fertile. Thank you.